Welcome to Stock Talk with Mike. I'm back with another Crowdstrike video. I know I just did a video on them yesterday covering their Q2 earnings that they released after hours yesterday, and they traded down around 4% or so after hours after reporting some really good earnings. But I found some new data today that I want to share with you that I found pretty interesting that kind of builds off the info I provided yesterday. And also, I'm just trying to keep all these videos a little bit shorter rather than cram everything into one video. So not surprising today that downward pressure that we saw after hours kind of continued after actually opening up on the day. They traded down and closed at down 3.93%, pretty flat after hours, settling in at $270. This is taken from yesterday's video I did covering the average analyst price target for Crowdstrike, which was $289.10 a share, which represented only 2.88% upside. And there's 20 analysts covering Crowdstrike. And although it traded down, I did expect analysts, and I mentioned this, that I expected analysts to kind of do some re-rating, and that wouldn't be surprised we saw a bunch of upgrades and price target increases tomorrow, which is today. And yeah, we saw that. So 20 analysts covering Crowdstrike yesterday. As of yesterday, average price target $289.10 a share with 19 buy ratings, 1 hold. Well, what did we see today? Looking at the same, just refreshing the same page on tip ranks here again, the average analyst price target $306.43. So that's up quite a bit up from the $289 we saw yesterday. So we've seen a number of upgrades here, with the highest price on the street being $340 a share and the low $225. And that represents, the average here represents a 13.5% upside from these levels. And 2 analysts actually picked up the stock now, as 23 analysts covering it with 22 buys. That's up from, actually 3 more analysts, up from 19 buys that we had as of yesterday. And I usually pull this list up actually kind of daily in the morning. I go to briefing.com and I look at the upgrades and downgrades. It kind of gives me a good sense of any big changes in the market that we might need to look for. If there's a bunch of upgrades in a stock, I might look to see if there's any news, or look at maybe they just reported earnings, or same with downgrades. And obviously I look for any companies that I might be holding my portfolio to see if there's any new coverage or price target changes. It's just something to keep an eye on. But you can see there's several here for Crowdstrike. So Needham reiterated a buy rating, 335 up to 340. JMP Securities, 250 up to 310. Another one here, Canaccord Genuity, 280 up to 330. Mizuho, 310 up to 330. Another one, 265 up to 320, 300 to 315, RBC 300 to 315. So a number of big upgrades here, all in the 300 plus range, 310 up to 340 here, and all representing good upside for Crowdstrike. So analysts are expecting continued increases here in Crowdstrike share price over the sort of medium term. These are 1-year price targets, and the share price as of today is 269. So definitely analysts are going against the price action that we saw here today. And I can't help but just provide a little more color on Crowdstrike's earnings and how just phenomenal they are performing. Again, the downside only just being they do trade at extremely rich valuation. But they're expecting $1.3 billion in annual reoccurring revenue in 2021, just phenomenal, and 70% annual reoccurring revenue growth. So crazy numbers. And 94% of their revenue is extremely dependable subscription revenue, very sticky revenue. So that's great to see. And they have 71% subscription revenue year over year growth. So massive growth in subscription revenue. And they have 13,080 subscription customers. So they're not reliant on one particular customer, and there's no concentration risk here with Crowdstrike. I'm going to get into their customer base here a little bit as well. And 66% of their customers actually have 4+ products of Crowdstrike's. Quick look at their subscription customers. 63 now of the Fortune 100 companies, 234 of the Fortune 500. That's almost half of the Fortune 500 companies are using Crowdstrike. and 14 of the top 20 banks. I pulled this was like a similar graph to I've seen in previous presentations of CrowdStrikes, and I looked back, just finding an old one back from January 31st of 2020, and two of these metrics are the same, comparable, so I teased out the difference here. Look at this. Back in January 31st of 2020, so really just a year and a half ago, it was 49 of the Fortune 100. Now that's up to 63. It was 11 of the top 20 banks. Now it's 14. I see a trend here, right? So again, phenomenal stuff here from CrowdStrike. Not surprised to see some analysts re-rating and them stumbling over themselves to increase their price targets on CrowdStrike. So we've seen this over and over and over again. And, you know, again, it trades incredibly expensive, but it's been a phenomenal performer and it's traded expensive the entire time I've owned it, since 2019. And that's just the way it is with companies like this that are acquiring customers at an extremely fast rate and that are growing incredibly quickly with reoccurring revenue. Companies like this generally are not going to trade cheap, but even as far as CrowdStrike's concerned, it's trading extremely rich at these levels. So for me, if I was looking to add to my position or take a position, I would be looking for a little bit of a pullback as an entry and would nibble at it. And if we saw a significant pullback from there, look to add more, and that's how I develop my position. But as I mentioned in my previous video, I'm a happy shareholder in CrowdStrike, and it's in my growth portfolio, about my 10th or 11th largest position in my growth portfolio. Cybersecurity isn't going anywhere. Investments in the big companies and small companies in cybersecurity is only going to grow, I think, over the next decade and more to come as threats become more and more prevalent. So thank you so much for watching. Happy investing.